Before becoming Blackfire, Commander was the eldest child of Tamaran's royal family and the first princess born in over 100 years. On the day she was born, Tamaran was attacked by their mortal enemies, the Citadel Empire. The western Tamaranian city of Kaisar was destroyed, and 3,000 Tamaranians were killed. This event was forever linked to Commander, causing the public to see her as a bad omen. In addition, Commander suffered from an unspecified childhood illness that rendered her flightless, which only made the people despise her even more. In an attempt to appease his subjects, King Meander stripped her of her claim to the Tamaranian throne. Commander's status as a pariah increased, and shaped her into a bitter and spiteful child, a fact that her entire family and planet would learn all too soon. The next royal child was born at dawn, during a time of peace. Her birth wasn't just welcomed, it was a sign of future prosperity and optimism. So much so that she was named for this very fact. Where Commander was scorned, Kori was adored by all, and that was all the reason she needed to make her new little sister into her sworn enemy. It started off light, a mean look here, a mean word there. Koriand'r endured, wanting to befriend her sister just as she did everyone else. But things got worse when Kori's beloved pet turned up dead. Commander acted like she just found the creature lifeless. That's the story she gave to their mother. But Koriand'r knew this animal had been poisoned. Still, she saw the good in her sister. But when she invited her to play with friends, Commander took it as an insult since she was the only one who couldn't fly. And it's not as if the other kids didn't tease her for this fact as well. So she would use this as fuel to lash out against her little sister even further. Finally, Kori gave up on trying to connect with Commander at all, and the two barely spoke for years. For the vivacious Koriand'r, this was hell, but silent hatred was better than physical torture. As the girls got older, the time came to send them off to special warriors training with the warlords of Okara. The warlords viewed warfare as a philosophy, a religion, and with the threat of war looming, Tamaran needed all of its citizens to become as sharp as a blade's edge, especially the royal family. Kori embraced the chance to learn combat fundamentals under the revered warlords, but Commander had other aspirations. On Okara, the sisters ceased to be little girls and developed into young women, both in body and mind, as they ate, slept, and breathed war. But they were also taught about the value of life. It wasn't enough to hate your enemy and best them in combat. You had to know when to show compassion. Only by embodying all these traits in battle can one become a true warrior. After excelling at their trials, the sisters were pitted against each other in the arena for graduation. Atop mounts, wielding solar lances, they dueled. Here, Commander's evil plans took hold. Only a dismount was needed for victory. But Commander wanted Kori to suffer, payback for all the years she spent living in her little sister's shadow. So she slashed straight through Kori's mount's leg and dragged her behind her own. Kori's small body bashed against each jagged rock while Commander taunted her. One of the warlords wanted to stop the match, but others wanted to see how Koriand'r handled herself. Kori's endurance had led her to this moment. All those years of abuse from her older sister came screaming forward in mutual hatred. She cut herself free and then threw her shield at Commander's steed with all of her might. The shield slammed into the animal, sending it and Commander over the edge towards certain death. But for all the hatred Koriand'r had pent up inside of her, she didn't want her sister to die. So she swooped down and saved her. The warlords were amazed and recognized that she had the heart of a true warrior, full of curiosity, strategy, and compassion. How did her sister thank her for saving her life? By attacking her and taunting her for being weak, of course. But the warlords wouldn't have it. They banished Commander from Okara and swore that she would never be a true warrior. And with that, Commander had been rejected in favor of Koriand'r for the last time. When Kori returned to Tamaran without her sister, everyone had just assumed she'd flow back on her own. But Kori knew Commander well. She knew she was hatching a scheme. On an unassuming afternoon, Tamaran's peace was shattered by a massive Citadel attack. They had recently learned the secrets of Tamaran's defenses, and were more than happy to exploit them. 5 million Tamaranians paid the ultimate price. The Citadel vowed to withdraw under one condition. Princess Koriand'r had to leave with them, taking Tamaran's remaining innocence and optimism along with her. So Meander made the impossible choice and gave up his daughter, knowing that if she ever returned, it would be the end of the planet Tamaran. As she boarded the Citadel ship, Kori was reunited with her older sister's sinister, mile-wide grin. The mastermind behind the attack, Commander sold out her entire planet just for revenge, and it was only getting started. Koriand'r was then enslaved by the Citadel, with Commander holding claim to her life. Each year, she'd be sold to a new master, and at the end of said year, Commander renewed Kori's sentence. She was to be put to use for hard labor, personal assistance, and any kind of debaucherous gratification. As long as she wasn't fatally injured, her masters could have their way with her. This is how Koriand'r spent the next 6 years of her life, which filled her sister with wicked joy. But Kori wasn't defenseless, and eventually, she killed one of her masters after he subjected her to cruelty that even she hadn't known up to that point. Commander ordered her sister to be executed, followed by the destruction of Tamaran. The dark-hearted woman now stood tall, wearing armor fit for an evil queen. But before the sentence was carried out, their ship was attacked by an enemy even more cold than the Citadel, the Scions, a race of sadistic scientists who see all life in the universe as subject for their endless tests and experimentations. And aboard this vessel lay the perfect specimens, Tamaranians. They had heard about their ability to absorb ultraviolet energy and convert it into flight. This brought on a burning question within the Scions. How much energy could a Tamaranian body absorb before exploding? The sisters were then hooked up to machines, which forcibly flooded their bodies with ultraviolet radiation. Endless waves of pain passed over them from the crowns of their head to the soles of their feet. But these 6 grueling years made Kori much more pain-tolerant than Commander. But pain-tolerant or no, neither sister could endure forever. Before their bodies could give out, Commander's Citadel forces attacked the Scion ship to rescue her. This caused the machine to explode, releasing Kori. When she came to, her hands were pulsing with power. Perhaps the attack caused the energy's signature to change, triggering a biological reaction in her body. But regardless of the exact reasoning, Kori could now expel any absorbed energy from her body in waves of solar blasts that would come to be known as starbolts. Koriand'r looked up and saw her sister. The possibility of leaving her there to die, while tempting, was not something she was able to do. And so she freed her sister with her newfound powers. And once again, Commander repaid Kori's compassion with cruelty. The intense hatred in Commander's heart made her starbolts even more potent than Commander's. Commander was awarded with an even higher rank in the Citadel Empire and departed on a separate ship, while Kori was taken away to be executed. But she would not die here. She fought her way out, commandeered an escape vessel, and eventually found her way to Earth, where she met and joined the Teen Titans. But this was far from the last she would see of her sister. Several months had passed since her last encounter with Commander, and she was settling in well to her life as a superhero living on Earth, under the codename Starfire. But her love and optimism would soon be put to their greatest test yet. It was a normal day, as normal as one can get for the Titans, and the team had just fought Brother Blood and his cult, when out of nowhere, Starfire is driven wild by an unforeseen object, a Gordanian mental probe. During her frenzy, she's taken captive by the Gordanian slavers that she was all too familiar with, under the command of her renegade sister. The Teen Titans, joined by Aqualad, came to her rescue, eventually commandeering 2 Gordanian ships and following their foes to the orbiting mothership. But Starfire had her hands full with Commander, who relished in this fated reunion with the syrupy, wicked glee of a blackened heart. A heart so black, she killed some of her own troops for ruining the surprise of her return. Koriand'r never truly forgave herself for showing mercy to her sister all those times, and swore that if she ever got the chance, she'd kill her dead. But Commander had different plans. First, she reminded Starfire how much she loved torture, as she ignited her hand with blue solar energy, scorching her little sister's soft face. Kori told her big sister that she was destined for hell. Commander had already accepted that, and was content to simply enjoy her time on top until that time came. The Titans' rescue attempt was thwarted, as drones overpowered them, sending them out into cold, dark space. Thankfully, Raven was able to keep them alive with her soul self, but Koriand'r was none the wiser, and watched helplessly as her friends suffered on her behalf. This pleased Commander to no end. On the way to the Citadel homeworld, Commander tells Kori of the plans she has for her, how the 1-year enslavement rule has been lifted, making slaves the property of their owners indefinitely. Commander plans to enslave her sister for the rest of her life, putting her through so much hell that she would view death as a kindness. Unwilling to accept this fate, Koriand'r bursts free with the death of her own sister on her mind. The sisters engage in a quick tussle as Kori tries to blast her way to freedom, just as she had done before. She knows that in a fair fight, Commander is no match for her, but this is Commander's ship, and fairness does not factor in here. She endlessly taunted her sister, making sure to repeatedly trigger her with memories of her painful past. While Starfire may be the superior fighter technically, Commander has been fighting with hatred for her entire life. So in a battle of rageful vengeance, Commander is destined to come out on top. And as a final insult to injury, Commander adopts a new name, not unlike her sisters. She names herself Blackfire, for her heart is as black as the pits of hell itself. Inside the Citadel homeworld's icy terrain, Starfire is taken to Lord Damon as an offering. She tries to blast herself free by emitting high amounts of solar energy from her entire body, but a quick zap from Blackfire's starbolts puts an end to that. Lord Damon wishes to eat her for her transgressions, but Blackfire convinces him to leave her sister's fate up to her. For the time being, Kori is placed in an electrified container to keep her docile. Then, she is taken by a member of the Scions who serves the Citadel, to be part of a greater plan to kidnap the living goddess of the vegan system, Zal. Thankfully, help was on the way. The Titans were rescued by Superman, who, along with the Omega Men, mount an attack of their own to stop Commander's schemes and rescue Starfire. And the help couldn't come fast enough, as Starfire's skin sears with pain. The Scions, cruel as ever, subjected her to intense heat to see just how much punishment she could take. But to Blackfire's dismay, Starfire does not submit. The Titans prepare for a surprise attack as Blackfire and Lord Damon address their Citadel subjects. They've successfully captured Zal and hold her in stasis. They plan on using the goddess to make the entire galaxy submit to their empire. During their speech, a half-dead Starfire is brought out by the Scions. Dick rushes over to Kori. Cyborg takes Lord Damon hostage. He'll let him go only on the condition that Blackfire allows them to leave with Kori. Blackfire makes a rather easy choice. Robin argues that Blackfire has the power she sought, and has nothing to fear from Starfire anymore. But fear was never a factor. She had always seen herself as superior, and now she's just killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Now that she has Zal and Starfire in her grasp, she'll make her sister suffer like never before at the sight of her own precious goddess destroying her family and homeworld. Then she and all of her friends will die by Blackfire's hand. At the sound of Blackfire's evil plot, Starfire is rejuvenated. Pain and exhaustion mean nothing to her anymore. There's too much at stake. This time things are much more evenly matched, with Starfire's laser focus guiding her through the pain. Her superior fighting prowess is on full display, with Blackfire unable to counter her sister's smoldering attacks. She tries to appeal to Cory's compassion, asking for a moment to talk, but Starfire is done talking. All she wants now is Blackfire's blood. Blackfire boasted about how she could end Cory's life with a single blast, and yet, here she stands. The battle rages on, with fatigue settling in. Starfire can barely stand, but she pushes forward. But as the sisters fire their most powerful starbolts at each other, they are stopped by the late Lord Damon's Scion advisor. He takes control of the Citadel forces and relocates the sisters to the surface of Tamaran, where they will settle the score once and for all. No starbolt powers allowed, just skill and might alone. The winner is whoever survives, and the winner shall decide the fate of the entire planet.
Fight!
Cory fights for the planet she was banished from, while Commander tells her that she has nothing to fight for. She tells her that her family is already dead in an attempt to get into her head, but the attempt is in vain. Cory keeps her wits about her as she shatters her sister's weapon. Blackfire gains the upper hand and tells Cory that she is now the reject of 2 planets. She'll grant her mercy only if she admits to being the inferior sister. But even as she chokes Starfire, Starfire does not yield, and in a ferocious rage shatters tree trunks and boulders like glass. It was all because of Commander. She introduced her to hatred over the course of her life, but more than that, she gave Cory something to overcome. Everything Blackfire had thrown at Starfire only made her stronger, tougher, better. Starfire begins to taunt Blackfire again. She's fought her countless times in her mind, and every time, she was so much stronger than she is now. She succeeds in triggering Blackfire, who can't stand being mocked or laughed at. The would-be Lord of the Citadel erupts in power, breaking the rules of the match to gain the upper hand. Like she did when she first captured Starfire, she tries to scorch her face. But Cory seizes the opportunity and does the one thing her sister cannot do. She takes to the skies, flying wildly to Blackfire's absolute terror. Cory slams the 2 of them into ravine waters and mountainsides, knowing that Blackfire risks injury or death whether she holds on or lets go. Blackfire has underestimated Cory too many times, thinking she won't pull something as underhanded as this. But this is true combat, and she is a true warrior. Blackfire resumes control of the fight just long enough to charge her starbolts as the pair wrestles atop a waterfall. Cory tries to warn her of the outcome, but Blackfire does not care. She's tired of being bested by her little sister, and she's going to put her in her place even if it kills her. Starfire's body washes ashore, barely alive, but her wounds are healed soon as Raven comes to her aid. She awakens to see her dearest friends standing over her, soon to be accompanied by her family. She is embraced by her younger brother, Ryander, her parents, King Meander and Queen Luander, as well. As the royal family shower each other with affection, a nearby Tamaranian emerges from the bushes with part of Blackfire's outfit, the only thing they recovered of her body. A seeming fitting end to such an evil, ugly soul. As much as Starfire wants to stay, her parents remind her of the conditions of the truce, so she returns to Earth with her Teen Titans. But she leaves with renewed vigor, reunited with her family, and having bested her evil sister once and for all. If only it were that simple. I've been wanting to do this for a while because I really do love the dynamic between these 2 sisters. Already you can understand why Blackfire is easily Starfire's best enemy and nemesis. But I promise you, it gets so much crazier from here. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so that you know when I drop part 2 of Starfire vs. Blackfire. And until next time, keep simping.